Welcome to Unthink Me comments episode.
We're the Unthink Me Patrol. We're out here looking for bad guys out on the strip. You know, while you're around here, you could go down into the buttons down there, and you could really help us out by hitting that like button, that subscribe button, by participating in the commentary, helping us to catch some bad guys out there. You know, be sure and support the Unthink Me brand. We catch bad guys.
We catch a lot of flack. My problem is that I do mansplain. That's something I am very guilty of to men, women, theys, thems, everyone. That's something I'm guilty on because my job is to train people, and so I usually get too explanatory even when people don't want to know. And so I fear that I'm tiptoeing into the realm of gaslighting because I don't actually know the definition. But I do mansplain a lot. A lot.
Yeah, it's just trying to convince someone that they're crazy so you can kind of like have power over them, you know, as long as they think that they don't know what's going on.
The ultimate goal is to like break their mind, not just convince them otherwise.
Yeah, you're trying to convince them they're crazy to weaken their credibility so they'll listen to you. Mansplaining is much less nefarious. Yeah.
Actually crazy, or just trying to convince them that the truth they know is wrong?
More like that, yeah.
Okay.
But classically, it would be to actually convince them that they're like
what is it? Arsenic and old lace? Like that's...
Which actually happened. I'm actually gaslit quite a lot. Like people are often trying to convince me that I'm mentally ill. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's hear your argument.
It sounds like a mentally ill person. Well, maybe. Let's hear your argument.
Yeah, let's see what... we all have a little cognitive dissonance and a little bit of trauma going on. I'm not opposed to the idea that I'm crazy. I just the thing is, you wouldn't know. You would think the more crazy you are, the more you swear to God you're not. It seems like, but if also you're not crazy, you also swear to God you're not crazy. So
the like stereotypical movie themed person out of their mind is convinced that everyone else is wrong. And that's where it comes out as like, oh, that person's just nuts. Teddy Duchamp's boy. Yeah, Teddy Duchamps went mad. He's
it seems to be I'll even go further. It seems to be like related. I think that your ability to accept other people telling you anything is very related to how hysterical or how much you're delusional. Because generally, if you're a child and you're delusional, that's normal. And so people tell you like, oh, no, that's not right. Just, think this instead. And you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
But like the delusional adult, it's like they have the same kind of ideas. And they're just like, no, nobody tells me anything. No, I know everything. I watched a YouTube video from Unthink Me and it told me everything. And now.
Oh, boy.
We do have people show up who are going through some stuff sometimes. And they seem to kind of balance themselves out, really, as far as I've seen. Or they disappear. That also happens.
Oh.
So mansplaining doesn't irritate me unless it assumes that I don't know something that I do. Because then you're just wasting my time. If you're just like, here's how you do this, step one. It's like, okay, go on. That's when I call it mansplaining. I don't care if someone's going to kind of have like a belittling tone as they educate me on something, if they indeed are. That's fine.
I don't know. We're kind of defining in our own terms what mansplaining is here. I don't think that I have a like condescending or patronizing tone while I do it. I'm explaining something that no one asked to be explained.
If it felt unwelcome, then I would call it mansplaining. Yeah. If I was cueing to you that I don't want this, and you're just like, well, I love sharing things and I love being the person with all the knowledge, then that's where I would start kind of pushing it in that direction. Like most people don't want to have even the things that they do need to know explained. It's just being explained anything.
If it's patronizing or condescending, like, oh God, you don't know that. But I don't feel like I do that. I don't think I do. If I do, tell me, because I'm also pretty empathetic and will stop doing that. Yeah. What I do is I know a lot about a lot of things. And so someone will be like, oh yeah, look at that over there. Like, yeah, do you know how that happens? No. Okay. Here's an hour-long dissertation putting on a fucking clinic about how that works. They didn't want to know.
Yeah. My deal is I want to write, is what I'm saying right now welcome on my forehead. I think that's the key to the whole thing. If I'm mansplaining, The whole point is I want to know whether it's welcome. I want to know if they want to know. And if they don't, I don't want to be a representative of something undesirable forcing itself on them because that
Hmm.
weakens my cause.
Hmm.
So welcomeness is very important to me. It's pretty
I used
central
to
to the way I see interpersonal relationships.
I used to hang out with a kid who, well, I didn't hang out with a child when I was appropriately aged with this other kid.
I hang out with kids. You don't got to explain shit.
Well, yeah, family members and things. But so I don't hang out with a lot of children. I don't know any.
Oh, okay.
Um, I do have one friend with three kids. Different. Why do those two clouds look different? And I had been around him long enough to know to ask, do you really want to know, or are you just saying that out loud? Like, yeah, I don't really want to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
explain the difference between
Very
cumulus
important.
and stratus clouds. But
It's
yeah,
frustrating because, I often have things that I like to contribute to help people with, but it's very rarely welcome. And
yeah,
so,
they
I
have
mean,
to
you're
want
always
it.
kind of,
Otherwise,
you're picking your
yeah,
battles. Yeah.
right, right. Indeed.
More Joy 5188 on how do levels of consciousness actually work says this is great. And I give it a heart. Actually, I give it a thumbs up. I did that
Mm,
wrong in the last one.
mm,
That was a great video. How do levels of consciousness actually work? Talking about the currencies of each level and how they kind of self-define. I feel like that's new territory. I feel like I haven't really seen that anywhere. So Be Easy 6663 saw it as well and said, if you look at the chakras, the root chakra is the foundation that everything
mhm.
else is built upon. It's the physical reality, but it's not detached from the chakras. It's a part of the overall, and then it seems to cut itself off. We're going to give that a thumbs up. Okay. The balance is in the green between these chakras. That's why green is so abundant on Earth, and it symbolizes regeneration and growth. I think they're not talking about our green. I think they're talking about green chakras. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Heart chakra, I think is green. So in the personality, ego, psyche, consciousness mini model, there is no body level. I didn't
Hmm.
put one, but instinct is body level. Like every creature out there running instinct is body level of consciousness. If you want to simplify levels into these really like commonplace words, you say, body, mind, soul, spirit, or body, personality. That's what I like, ego, psyche, consciousness. Body is always going to be that bottom level though, because body has it's not chunking things. It's not doing reason. It's just experiencing body. It's just kind of sensing this. And so it's a
I
fused
would say like
existence.
a beige.
Yeah.
It's instinctual. It's trying to survive. That's its only want.
And we'll probably get into this, but the infrared range is big. The
Hmm.
UV and infrared range are big. And in the metaphor of light, that range could cover the whole instinctual level.
Yeah,
It can cover the
subspectrum.
whole level because whatever's going on in creatures, in the monkey and the turtle, those are gonna a monkey and a turtle have very different consciousness. It's
Mm.
all just instinct. It's all simple and crude. I mean, it doesn't look anything like the level of mind, but those are levels clearly. I mean, to be a turtle is going to be I have to assume a lot more primitive than being
Terrifying.
being a monkey. So there's levels there. They're stacking features, genetic features, DNA features. They're evolving phenotype features, not willfully, but just by boning and dying. Big range there. The whole very long, very historic stage level. More on that in the future. Geez, that's a beauty. Okay. It looks like there's a lot on that video. How do levels of consciousness actually work? Beautiful.
Good video.
Sophia, get this thing. Sophia Fake Virus, ROHCC, says, blah, blah, blah. These guys need to stop filming themselves talking and publishing it online. I don't know if we need to do that. I think this is making us pretty happy.
Yeah. This is
We might want to do
I
that
didn't
sometimes.
I didn't do this for you. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Maybe, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe we should cut it out.
Well,
Sophia Fake Virus. Maybe you should change your name to something more credible
I
than
don't care.
Sophia
No
Fake
one's
Virus.
You don't have
If
to
you want,
watch.
yeah, we're sorry, Sophia Fake Virus, that we
I'm
didn't
not
entertain
not
and
sorry.
or educate you more. Yeah, that was sort of glib of me. I didn't really mean that. I probably shouldn't. Mr. Hart, an example of green hurting someone's feelings. We did ask for this. Could be those who act in virtue without being virtuous. Oh boy, I'll say. Let me help you out of the water so you don't drown, said the monkey to the fish as he carried him up the tree. Let me help you out of the water so you don't drown, said the monkey. And then he goes, "Nah, nah, nah."
Yeah.
That's what I'm to assume. Yeah. So, yeah, it's funny. Amber and Green are pretty good at doing evil for good reason, with the justification of trying to do good in the world, but ending up kind of getting in the way of progress or benevolent outcomes. It's a thing that happens. Once, a great while ago, I told Mr. Hart, mostly in jest, I suggested that he get his ass out there and he find that fucking dog.
Okay.
Well, he reports back 2 days ago. I found the dog.
Nice. Oh.
That's quite a metaphorical dog that he found, I would assume, because you get your ass out there, you find that fucking dog. It's a metaphor for personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mr. Hart has taken on something there. I don't know. We'll get back. We'll follow up on that one. And then here's our buddy Antonio. We've seen him on here a few times. Yeah, the first to salute you here. Thank you very much for this explanation, sirs. Well, hey, you know what, fake virus? There's someone who appreciates.
Leave fake virus alone. They were trying to expand their viewing demographic or
Yeah,
whatever. Their viewing thing.
you.
Found one they didn't like.
They gave it
That's
a go.
okay. That's okay.
Good on them.
You don't have to like everything.
No,
There's a
that
lot
is okay.
that you will like on other channels. Help yourself. No hard feelings.
And not only that, but also if you gave us something like actionable, we might be able to roll with it too. If you were like, do this differently. Well, I guess they said to give up and stop.
That's quite different.
I mean, yeah, it's like obviously
We started this
that.
channel. We started this channel our very first talks is I don't care, and hypothetically, I don't care if anyone watches it. I enjoy talking about it, and we talk about things that not everyone is talking about, so we might as well document it somehow. And then sharing it is just kind of the next step. If you don't like it, you don't think we are entertaining in any way, no hard feelings. There's things I don't like, believe it or not. And then I just steer clear of those. There's so many things that I do like that I could spend my time with. It's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I didn't even think of that. It's like you don't have to police people uploading videos on YouTube. It does that on its own. It's got this whole algorithm. A lot of people upload nothing. They're re-uploading episodes of their favorite show in low quality. They're uploading their daughter's voice recital and nobody watches it. Like there's nothing to be gained in judging a YouTube content. It just doesn't exist. They've already sorted that out.
It goes to the junkyard of YouTube videos with like 4 views on it, and it was posted 10 years ago.
Have you ever commented on a web video? You should stop making these. Give up. Quit making these videos.
No. Keep commenting. I'm always surprised when someone comments on one of our shorts, a negative comment or a derogatory comment, because that took way longer than the short did. You could have just like scrolled to the next one, and the faster you like recognize our faces and scroll off of that one, it eventually will just stop showing them to you.
All right. Yeah. I don't mean I was trying to make a bit out of it, but I'm not really. It doesn't really give me very many pathways forward. So on the shadow switch, Sarah Raj 88122 says, "I feel very seen, very vulnerable. I greatly appreciate this." This is us talking about, if we could conceptualize our positivity or negativity as like one thing, and whether it's on or off at any given moment. And we were saying, for you and me, it's very hard. It's like either on or off. And I've been very focused on that for weeks now.
Yeah,
I have to
talking
say,
about it.
Paying attention to it helps so freaking much. And there was also a line from an article on one of our Discord guys that really moved me. It's just saying, like, as you feel that resistance accumulating, in my case, socially, but it might be in response to your responsibilities, whatever. And for me, it's always social. Feeling that pressure, feeling that resistance, just recognize you've already seen through this structure. You already know better. And in the moment, just like you might eat junk food or whatever, you're just indulging a pattern that you've already seen through.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know that and you see it in the moment, which that takes a little discipline, it takes a little effort, it takes a little conditioning and practice. It's like, yeah, oh wow, there's how could I possibly behave this way, knowing that I'm being an idiot to myself, according to me. It's
Do
like,
I need to step back and do some work to get out of
yeah.
whatever, funk we're in? Or do I need to just recognize that this is a funk, slough it off and move forward? Yeah, that's it. That although it's
And both
very
of those will
reductive
contribute
to
to one
on and
another.
off. It's a million point, a billion trillion point spectrum of on and off. But just for the sake of conversation, we reduced it to on or off. If you can recognize when you're off, it will keep you on more.
And we're super dualistic beings. I mean, this is how we conceptualize it. When you go up to
Mm-hmm.
someone and say, how's your day going? They'll
Yeah,
have an answer and it'll be like generally in
it's
the
always
plus or the
positive.
minus.
Yeah, unless they're a Debbie
If
Downer,
they
and then
want
they'll tell you
something.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
how are you?
Yeah.
Good. Now we've got a problem. Like, okay,
Yeah. Right. I'm doing great. Now everything's falling apart. That's
right.
been the situation for a long time. Yeah.
We're kind of conditioned in America to just be positive as a response to that, regardless of whether it's true or not.
So I'm finding this awareness of my supposed, shadow or lightness in a given moment is super handy. It's really helping me to stay in the light, which is desirable from the perspective of itself. You
Makes you
know,
feel good.
yeah, it makes you feel good, and the goodness spread, communicates to other people, and it better outcomes.
Mhm.
Good soil, good water on that plant. Yeah, that's how that goes. Morgan 313 on altitudes of driving, talking about how altitudes apply to driving a car. In the third tier, driving is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. You are one with the car, then there is no you and no car. Then you and the car are one with everything. First tier drivers look insane. They road rage over everything. I wish goodwill to them all. Defensive driving is paramount. But then
Mhm.
we're back to being mindful while driving.
Indeed.
Yeah. We were saying don't go too deep because you might, don't
You are
jeopardize
driving.
your you are driving. Yeah, be very careful. Alex Trusk. Oh, we know Alex Trusk. I would love to see you guys talk a progressive, liberal and conservative political streamer and
Oh boy.
explain these different stages of development and how different people affect the political discourse for better or worse at different stages. James hates it. James hates your idea, Alex. James does not
What
approve.
a fantastically loaded prospect. And
Yeah,
no matter what we say,
we're
everyone's pissed.
round them up, burn them. Concerned about these radical political monsters that are trying to be my nation. To be pretty straightforward about it, I think it's safe to say adult Americans tend to be red, amber, orange, green in general. 98, 95%, maybe something like that. Probably not a magenta adult. You might be. You're generally not a turquoise adult. You might be. But the public, the voting public is red, amber, orange, green. Clearly, green is left leaning. Clearly, amber is right leaning. Orange seems to kind of be your swing, could go either way. Could pick one. Are we more fiscal policy, more legal rule, or are we more compassion, more better conditions? Orange is kind of on the fence in this situation. Red, they seem to go either way too. They tend to kind of live in a world of what certain topics are, certain videos, certain news channels tell them. That's the legend, the red beam legend that they're subscribing to. And that will affect their political choices and opinions. That's a pretty quick and dirty. I mean, so as we get up in the second tier, the whole point is to see all the different sides of these debates that people are so entrenched in and divided in, and to try and harmonize and heal these sorts of divisions. So whether we're talking about conspiracy theory, left leaning, right leaning, radical, the whole integral thing is to put these all into context and not pick one and fight and destroy all the others, but just say like, okay, reasonable people, I should assume like people are reasonable. they're coming to these conclusions and they're making political decisions based on these conclusions. And the whole point of this levels thing is just to understand like why people are making these decisions, how these outcomes are reflective of patterns, like how it makes sense for all this to be going on, to bring some sort of like sanity to the whole thing. We are not necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of political streams. We're not particularly knowledgeable in terms of politics. We don't keep up, it's not something we're super passionate about. But we have kind of opinions and positions like everyone else. But I think Unthink Me is kind of explaining integral theory, and we can explain how it applies to politics. But yeah, just to be clear, like we don't really stand clearly on one side of a fence or another. But really, just the whole point is to understand these positions, to understand. I don't think we're good at it, is all. That's my perspective. I don't think we have much to contribute to this discussion where there's so many people who are like experts or self-proclaimed experts. I just don't think we really have much to do with it.
A lot of friction. It just creates a lot of friction.
I mean, yeah. So to put that in context too, Ken Wilber wrote a book about the Trump administration, and the only topic the real topic of the book is how the way information gets to people and is disseminated has changed. It's about how the world no longer has standards of truth in journalism.
That's exactly what you and I were talking about. Is
right.
The media consumption is by choice now. So if you want to believe that the flying spaghetti monster is running for president, you can right now. And this is speculative, but with the internet being as vast as it is, I'm sure you can find more than one websites urging you to vote for the flying spaghetti monster president, United States 2024.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm on board with spaghetti monster. And I thought, just to add to what you were saying too, there was a point where I had to expose that I don't really buy into alternative history, and like people cared about that. Like, who cares what I think about alternative history? But I don't. Yeah, nothing that's happened in all that has really been compelling to me. I'm interested in it. I watched the Rogan talks. I watched those weird videos about how like angels seeded society, all this stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and I just say in flat earth and everything. And I just say of it like interesting. I clearly don't buy into it. I find it, to not be, sound from my perspective.
And if I could cut in, because you are the type of person who wanted to genuinely know both sides before you made a decision.
Absolutely.
Your mind wasn't swayed, but you went into it open. And when we talk about politics,
that's not how it goes.
A fair enough amount of people come in not open to changing their mind. They're coming in because they want to change your mind. And that's not the platform we're on.
Like, we're not believers. We don't believe stuff. But that was alienating. Like, a couple of people kind of fell out, not a whole lot, but like a couple of people like, oh, like you're not into like alternative histories. Well, that was why I thought you were doing the whole like consciousness thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, no, in this very world, in this scripted, normal, square world, enlightenment exists. That's crazy. That's wild. If it was seeded by like unicorns from space, then it's like it should be no surprise that there's all these
like residual magic left. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Great question. Obviously, it inspired some talk, and we got our homie Evan. 2020, he's responding to something specific, might not make sense. Also, the inverse. I've definitely gone through phases of intentionally having no inner words. Sometimes for me, states of mind or internal revelations can cause a loss of unintentional inner monologue for periods of time. I found that true too. It's not that you're suppressing the speaking function of your brain. It's just that like it forgets to for a while. Like as you're sensing or feeling or whatever your brain's doing in this state, you just kind of forget to have that like worry thing going on. And then you're like, oh, hey, I haven't had like a verbal ego solidifying thought in a good hot minute. Oh, now I'm doing it. Antonio, altitudes, 12 stages. From my perspective, from time to time, I come back to watch this episode in order to relearn many things. Thank you very much for this set of perspectives. Beautiful. Yeah, nice. Thank you. And geez, I almost wish I could just do that one again. There's so many different ways you can tackle that, but I'd love to see more of these. This is the very down and dirty. It's like in my specific, extremely specific childhood growing up, how did these levels look to me? I wasn't in a red meme culture, amber meme. I didn't go through cultures of these stages. I came into this American thing that's like largely orange meme and was funneled up through these stages using various currencies. And so to see it in real life, not in this kind of metafictive way, but just like this is what it looks like as applied to some human being's particular development.
Mhm.
It was an essay, it was an attempt. And lots of cute stuff, lots of cute pictures and kind of nostalgia in there. A lot of my family members, that's like the one they watched, you know.
Okay.
Daughter of a King, number one, all 12 stages under 10 minutes. Reach your highest level of consciousness, dot, dot, dot. Very well. Yes, everybody. Well, 2012 West, the man's presuppositions bleed through here like dye on a thin white cloth, but still interesting. Yes, yeah, you're probably right. That's kind of inevitable. You know, whoever's doing the talking about this sort of stuff is going to color the hell out of it. And I'm probably wrong about a lot of stuff. I say that in like every video. We never
We
said we
never
were
said we
right.
were right.
I mean, Wilbur Scantley says he was ever right, you know.
Hmm.
So
It's a
we're in
theory.
good
The
company.
spiral dynamics is a theory.
Yeah,
Altitude's theory.
we're checking it out.
We're in the theory. Yeah, we're in the experiment. Once you die, if you still have consciousness afterwards, then you can be like, experiment over.
Yep, Gotti.
What were the results? Now let's do
But
it
you
10
get
more
'em.
times to make sure that the results are consistent.
Now we're getting into reincarnation, and that's spooky. You don't think I'm spooky, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you
Always
think
have.
do you think I'm spooky?
Hmm.
Meta Sketch 4317 says, I really, really liked this, dude. I've been a little obsessed with exactly what you're addressing here, trying to communicate the stages in Ken's vocabulary, but in new ways. Oh,
Okay.
Metasketch. We should check out their channel. Metasketch 430. Are they doing it on YouTube? Is that what they're saying? You don't have a channel, but hop on here. We'll talk. We'll be obsessed with exactly what we're addressing. Dragonfly told me a joke. Antonio says, first to arrive here. Thanks for the new episode. So Antonio is one up in all y'all. He's getting that first comment, you guys. You better hop on that.
Oh boy,
Leave
it's
those
not a
comments before
contest.
Antonio gets there. It is now.
Oh Jesus!
Get there
It is
before
now.
Antonio. Beat out
Okay.
that Antonio. Get him. Leave Antonio alone. Leave him alone. Mr. Hart says in response to Talking Integral on the one where I was addressing some hot takes, but I gave a little soliloquy about the relationship between integral and Christianity. And
Okay.
Mr. Hart says, reminds me of the movie Dogma. Matt and Ben could have really messed up Alanis. That would have been ironic, don't you think? Yeah,
Fun.
we love Dogma. And yeah, there was a line in that, you know, towards the end, I think they kind of moralized a little bit and they're like, it doesn't matter what you believe, only that you believe.
Right.
That's kind of a challenging line, right? Because in my mind, I think it matters. I think you should not believe. I think it matters that you don't believe.
You question.
And that is kind of, for me, that's kind of the nature of spirituality, is that it's a mystery. It's a question mark. I don't know.
Yeah, you're
I don't
seeking
believe.
answers.
Like nobody has the authority to say what is unless, you know, it's granted to them. Cool. Chris Talley. Magic and mysticism are well-dug riverbanks that lead to the sea. They aren't the only ways to get there. They're definitely a cool drink if you need one. Hothead need cool water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, neither positive nor negative, just suggesting, you know, magic and mysticism are sort of a rut in one sense, but also like a well-worn path, you know, in the other sense. They aren't the only ways to get there. Yeah, so that's my experiment. I'm not buying into
I
anything.
refuse that path. Yeah. So
And
of
I'm
course
on
there's a way to get
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's just different.
And like you say, they're a cool drink if you need one. Yeah, I'll look into it. I've been studying the hell out of medieval alchemy lately, trying to kind of figure out what that's all about. Why not? You know, it's a thing to check out. And it's interesting to me because it's sort of like the wisest people of a particular period came up with these answers. And you're like, okay. I mean, these weren't some twats, these like medieval alchemist scholars. These were quite wise and intelligent people that went out searching for answers. And it's like almost like the whole quest for the philosopher's stone is this way to like buy time from the king. Like, we're gonna get gold, we're gonna get gold. First thing I have to master
If we
myself.
don't come up with an answer, we're going to lose funding. So
Yeah,
we got to come up with something.
it's the same story, right? Yeah, it's the same story as today. Like, so okay, how does this put gold in our pockets? It's like, okay, we're gonna find
Oh,
that
keep
philosopher's
my head
stone.
on my shoulder. Yeah.
So you just keep buying time, pursuing enlightenment, putting out books on elements and stuff. And if you can curry enough favor to keep around, that's how the knowledge quest was proceeding. It's a good time. Seeing our roots. Jacques and Brooke. I always knew that the highest form of consciousness was being free from everything. And that's it. Sorry to break it to you. Yeah.
I'm happy to break it to you.
Yeah, we're happy.
You're right.
Sorrow and happiness, two sides of the same coin. Dramatic Warrior 7405. Brother, your channel is underrated. You deserve millions of views and subscribers for your great content. Keep up the good work. Well, we're great. We're glad to hear that, Dramatic Warrior. We were just told to give up and never make videos or publish them. So lots of thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're very kind.
It's
we're
a
doing our
gathering
best.
place for like-minded, curious people. That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Juice 8769 says, this appeared on my YouTube homepage as soon as the edibles hit. All right.
They knew. Stop buying edibles online.
I usually don't watch this type of content. I swear the universe sometimes winks at you. Well, great. If that's a wink, yeah. Hop in if edibles are your gateway, and this is a sort of thing that you're finding nutritious and uplifting. Maybe you'll come back sometime. We love seeing these people who come out of nowhere, and we love hearing about how they got here. It seems like our videos are put on the homepage for people who kind of look for this kind of topic, and whatever the heck is causing that, we don't know, but we're grateful. Conks We6Zuo, I think I've seen you before. Very strange. Says, if you were to place Alan Watts on one of these altitude scales, where would you place him? Wonderful, wonderful question and difficult question. And I recognize in one of our recent comments answered, someone had asked me specifically what I think of Alan Watts, and I ended up talking a bunch, but I didn't actually answer the question. Just, basically Alan Watts is brilliant, amazing genius. I'm so grateful to Alan Watts. Alan Watts is this guy who's sort of like, he's like an Englishman who kind of brought Eastern Buddhist spiritual enlightenment ideas to the West and made them very accessible, spoke in very kind of like what we're trying to do, and maybe that's the comparison, to kind of put it in plain English. I'm not I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I just want to know, what is this enlightenment thing that people talk about that's been
there must be
history and
something
culture
to it.
Yeah, or
Let's
if it's
make it
bullshit,
relatable.
I'd like to know that too. Whatever it is, I'd like to know. Always worth your time. And so where does he sit, right? So this is what I do. I go off on a tangent. Where does he sit? I would say, yeah, I think he maybe had those state experiences that sort of legitimize or qualify you in most traditions. I would say that, just as I've read from what I've seen. I mean, it has to start somewhere around green meme. So, I mean, is he a second tier thinker? I wouldn't know. He doesn't really talk about that. He's clearly representing green and orange, and he's clearly talking about advanced spiritual states of consciousness. That's about as far as I could go without really getting into like biographical history of him, which I'm not like an obsessed fanatic, but maybe if someone on the comments is more of like an expert on him and can kind of qualify where he might sit on altitudes or in states, that'd be very helpful. All I can really say is that his writing is very profound in terms of pointing out, what the state is, what enlightenment is, what it, for the layman and for the seeker. So Alan Watts is just wonderful, a wonderful treasure to our culture, I would say, to all of our culture. Diablo says, and his love for the animals transcends survival. He died doing what he loved. Oh, crikey. We are talking about Steve Irwin. Transcends survival. His love for the animals transcends survival. Yeah, that's so crazy, right? People who will like lay down their life for animals. That's neat. That's really heroic. The one contains the many. That's some Star Trek. The one contains the many. Holographic. Distinctions, duality, and infinite conceptual structures. Heart. Abundance mentality versus deficiency mindset. Diablo says, it's the reason why they were incapable of reading the book. It's the same reason they felt the need to cheat on you. It's the reason you feel what book? Facing love addiction. They were incapable of reading the book. They felt the need to cheat on you. It's the reason you feel the need to have a positive impact. It's the reason I will read. Facing love addiction. Facing Love Addiction, PM Melody. It was a very influential book for me, recommended by Dr. Drew of Loveline to help with codependency issues, which I have struggled from an awful lot in my life. And as Diablo says, the cheater, the splitter, incapable of reading the book, felt the need to cheat on me. I feel the need to have a positive impact in response to that. This is all in that rainbow, codependent rainbow. It's all parts of that personality issue. So love goes a long way. It's the reason you ask them to read the book, and it's the reason your father did what he believed was best. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Agreed. It's all out of love. This is all loving. If it's not clear, I love my father very dearly, and I interact with him all the time in a very positive and loving way. And all of us are we all have some sort of criticism of our parent. That's very normal. I was just kind of mentioning the intimacy. I have a really high intimacy comfort level. I'm pretty comfortable with intimacy, and it can be disappointing for me to interact with a lot of my family because they're not very intimate people, and I feel like we're not connecting on a level of deep sharing. But everybody has a different meter where they set their intimacy level, and if you're not right on it, it's going to be either too intimate or too not intimate. It's going to be uncomfortable. So to interact with those people, I have to tuck myself away. I have to put myself I have to appear a certain way, not honest and genuine, but playing a character because that is the way to conform to that social situation. When I was younger, I rebelled against that and I fled it and I thought it was just toxic or, all that. I no longer think that at all. I think it's very healthy and normal. And that's what keeps a family unit together if that's the operating system they're running. I'm being the bastard by not appreciating that and trying to fit into it and, take advantage of all the things it offers me that are positive. Mm-hmm. Very hard for me to do. So thank you, Diablo. I really appreciate it. Love, love, love. Let's back at you. And one more. This maybe is one for James. The authenticity was pure chef's kiss. Does that mean?
Okay. That's what that means, yeah.
I've been just kind of, when I have a little free time, I get up in the middle of the night on a hypnagogic state when I have this sense of like God pumping me. It's this weird thing that happens. I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and it's kind of like, it kind of feels like I'm having intercourse with the creator of the universe. And okay. I'm not trying to sell anyone on. This is what's happening. I get up and then I go out and I try to just share as deeply as I can. Really humiliating and painful things about myself. Grief I've been through, traumas I've been through, just in its own little cupboard there. So we can talk about these like pretty intense things without it really bleeding over a whole lot into more practical and educational material. I wanted that part of the story to be part of the Unthink Me thing. This is serious, it's serious in a certain way. We're goofing around, but like, I think it would be a cheat to not be upfront that there is pathos driving the Unthink Me car. There's an axe to grind, and I want to be clear about what the fuck it is. I don't want to pretend it's one thing and have it be another. Yeah, it's heartbreak, it's grief, it's suffering. Of course, that's what motivates. We got more Diablo for next time. I appreciate it. Thank you. Here's an Alan Watts quote. Take a deep breath and tell us your deepest, darkest secret so we can wipe our brow and know that we're not alone. Write like you have a message from the king, or don't. Who knows? Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't have to. Yeah, that does sound like us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cooler version of us.
Or don't.
Or don't. Watts is awesome though. Yeah, yeah. Check out some Alan Watts or don't. It's fine. He's a cool dude. Tapa Kappa says, thinking about converting, inshallah. I'm gonna look up inshallah
I don't know what that
prayer.
means.
If Allah wills it. Well, I guess that figures, right? A lesser intellectual. Kitty, will you please be quiet? We're trying to do a podcast. All right. No. Wanted to say too, converting. What does converting mean? It means membership. What does membership? Amber mean? You can agree with Islam without being a member of it. What is membership? What does that mean? If Allah is the creator dictating our actions, it doesn't really matter whether you're a member of some group or not. That's the nature of physics, reality, the universe, time. That's everything. It's Allah. Me too, brother. May Allah save us all. And then same person responds, God isn't real, nerd. And then game over, game over, game over. And then Topakapa comes back to a lesser intellectual. I don't know what's going to happen here. You're lucky. The Maghrib is allowing me to pray in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. 2, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. 3, sovereign of the day of recompense. 4, it is you we worship and you we ask for help. 5, guide us to the straight path. 6, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger or of those who are astray. 7, and there's nothing more. All right, so I'm glad we're having some Islam debate. It seems kind of ironic. Maybe there's a little irony there, but
for the channel, we make very explicitly clear that we're not a religious anything.
no, it's not a religion.
Open and welcome to all religions or not.
We'd love to talk about Islam if we had some expert or someone who's kind of like could represent that. That would be awesome. Yeah, I'm very curious about it. Cool dudes. Yeah.
Cool dude.
I apologize for meddling with this splitting subject again.
Okay.
But these days, one thing came to me after another disappointment of this kind. This time, suffering finally became akin to a common toothache. Just this. Yeah. Very unpleasing, of course, but just this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's that again. It's like, it's weird. It was so, like, shattering.
Oh, God.
The first couple times.
So bad.
And then you're just like, well,
I don't want to do it. I can't stand you being going for someone else. I can't stand it.
but I know what happens to the shattered glass. It gets glued back together, and here we are. That's where we all are. We're all just glued back together. And sometime after, I've noticed that if you are in your heart grateful for what you have in your life from the start, previous any kind of relationship, these so useful blows do become weaker. We have the duty to bring to our lives things so wonderful as possible to make ourselves simply happy. As men, we have as our primary duty bringing happiness to our lives. A man owes this to himself above anything else. Women, forget it. Do not depend on them, especially these days, to be happy. Now,
I think you could replace those with just me and them.
Yeah, I don't
know if he's trying to make a stance. I don't think he is, or she. I don't think they are trying to say men are responsible for happiness and women create chaos. I think it's me and them. I'm responsible for my happiness, and we cannot count on for our own happiness.
I don't want to live without you.
It's like I always like, if you were bisexual, then we could just say everybody. But because I'm a man, I target women, then I all of a sudden have this concept of what women and men are like, But
Speaking first
I
person,
never
yeah.
subscribe. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like to say things about the women and the men because like I am such a not man woman that it's like, how can I make that argument based on my nature? But no, not to. That's not a criticism of what you're saying. I'm just saying I don't really, I don't really talk about like how men and women are much because I try to think, like when you like a lot of authors will say like you want to know how to write a female character, just write a character, and then put a vagina on it.
Right. It's the deepest I'll get into that in like drawing a line in the sand is masculine and feminine. I'm not talking about penises and vaginas. I'm talking
You're
about
talking yin and yang.
yeah, sort of alpha power and follower beta power. And that could be applied to either sex.
Agency and communion.
It's just lack of vocabulary to kind of say it any other way.
And I'm down. It's fine for me for people to have these kind of ideas of male and female types as far as sex and gender. I am just in this position where it's really been called into question, and I really value the feminine aspect, even though I'm not like allowed to be a woman. Like that's what I would be, in terms of my values. If we are to assume that men and women have like different values, which is there's probably some degree of genetic bleed over into something to do with personality, and I prefer the feminine. To say don't depend on women, it's like, don't depend on anyone. Don't depend on anyone.
That's what started this whole talk. Is I think they're saying in order to be happy, you cannot count on anyone else. You cannot depend on anyone else for your own happiness. You have to depend on yourself for happiness. If they add to it, great, but it's something you are allowing in. It's not something that you're handing the wheel over to drive your happiness. That's where the pitfall and pain comes from. It's you're putting the onus of your happiness on your happiness is always going to be second fiddle to their own happiness.
Right. That's codependency right there. Yeah.
Right.
And just to try to double down, we agree with you. I had made some weird point about types there, but grateful before you're in a relationship, happy before you're in a relationship, before you're in it, and you don't need it. That's the whole key to the whole thing. Like that's how you have good relationships, that you don't need.
I've quoted RuPaul on this channel before.
If I wanted a sugar daddy, yes, I probably could go out and get one because I am what? Sickening. You could never have a sugar daddy because you don't get along with them. And clearly I don't get along with you.
That's fine. I don't have to be your friend. I don't have to be.
You can't love yourself. How in the hell you gonna love somebody else?